Hi everybody, thank you for watching this Slay the Brother video. My name is Killtrap, my twin Soviet Green and I make videos about Magic the Gathering. Today I want to go over a Foundation set review. I'm not going to go over every card, but goddamn I picked out way too many cards to go over. Way more than I thought. I was like, maybe I'll get 50 at most. I'm glad I didn't hit 100. But, this is a pretty big set. It's going to stick around with us for a while. So, there are some fun cards that I think it's worth a lot of content creators just diving into and digging their claws into it. I mean, why not? First, I want to go over. I don't know if I brought this up in a previous stream, but Nick will be sending me gameplay footage for me to edit for him soon. This means it won't have all the zoom in effects and weird shit Nick does, but I do that occasionally, just not as much. I don't really like it. It's just more basic, bland, cut and paste it together kind of stuff. But that's pretty cool. He's about to be having that baby if it hasn't already been born. So that's awesome. He's just not going to have a lot of time to play the game. I think he thinks he'll have more time than he will. Oh, and it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. Even this morning, and she's just my stepdaughter, but, I had to run shoes and a jacket over to her dad's place because she literally grew out of the shoes she fit into 2 weeks ago. Yeah, kids are just insane. So yeah, it's not going to stop. Just like the card releases in Standard will never stop. In fact, they only seem to speed up and get worse and more demanding. And Foundations may end up being the slowest one. So I think it's good for us to soak in Foundations, really let it try to work out as the foundation for our Standard sets in the future. So I want to go over here's some cards that really excited me in my opinion. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this one in particular, Soulstone Sanctuary. Now, there are two awesome man lands coming from this set. Soulstone Sanctuary, I think, is the best. What this thing does is you can tap it to add uncolored mana. So it does not enter into play tapped either, which is cool. I'll take uncolored mana for a land I can use right away. And for 4 mana, this land becomes a 3/3 creature with vigilance and all creature types. It's still a land. That's not until end of turn. I didn't miss any words there, folks. That is, this motherfucker stays a creature forever, which is awesome. I really love that. But yeah, this may end up being the most busted manland I've seen in a while, just because of the fact that it's going to stay a creature. And I know on its surface, that may not seem pretty potent, but there's a lot of good removal that hits non-land permanents. So that's going to have some interaction reactions to make it a little more resilient, I think, in Standard gameplay. The next manland to come in the set is Crawling Barrens, another uncolored land that doesn't come and play tapped. And for 4 mana, you can put 2 1/1 counters on this land. Then you may have it become a 0/0 elemental creature until end of turn. It's still a land. So what's cool about that is, first of all, I don't think there's a cap on how much you can do this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if you can only do this if it's a land. Yeah. See, I don't know because it's still land. I'm a little confused. I'm going to have to try it. I think the way it works is if you have 8 mana and this land, you can just soup this guy up, put 4 1/1 counters on them, I think. But either way, this will be fun. A fun land, especially if you like using Ren. You can just keep throwing counters on it, and it gets stronger every time you use it. So that, too, could become a bonkers broken man land. Just more potent every time they say it on the field. And now Maze's End. I know that this land isn't really that potent. In order to win Maze's End, you need to have 10 different gates in play when you activate the ability of returning it to your hand. So it reads, return this for 3 mana and tap. Return this land to its owner's hand. Search your library for a gate card. Put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. If you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. So, I don't know if anyone's ever been beat by one of these decks before. It is kind of funny because you're in the middle of this weird soul-crushing control match who somehow is getting mana ramp, and you're like, wait a minute. Oh, they're going for, I see what they got going. And then you just sit there and let them get their next 4 lands. It's really kind of fun, though. So now I want to go on to some actual bombs, not funny meme bombs like Maze's End. Now, a lot of these bombs will be funny meme bombs, let's get real. Like Sire of Seven's Deaths. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen their alternate art. It is so ugly. I'm not even going to fucking show it right now. Like, it is just all these 7 keywords in the middle, straight down. Oh, I just think it's terrible. It is cringy. It is bad design. But I guess it gets the point, the theme of the 7 across. But yes, this creature is an Eldrazi without Annihilator, thank God. But they have First Strike, Vigilance, Menace, Trample, Reach, Lifelink, Ward, pays 7 life. It is almost like a colorless counter to Atraxa. Now, I wonder if this means we're going to have less of these bombs in future sets, like Atraxa, like Valgavoth, but maybe not. I kind of feel like this could have potentially be one of those go-to reanimator creatures, but I don't know because Atraxa just gives you that card advantage, and then you hit another Atraxa with your Atraxa, and then Valgavoth's ward sacrifice 3 non-land permanents. It's really hard. It's hard to handle, man. So I just don't know, but I would like to see this guy. Not gonna lie. I just don't know if they're gonna be good for anything outside of like a counter to Atraxa. Now this, I hate this with a passion. I see shit like this in Historic. It brings the tears. It brings the salt. Oh my lord. This creature is a 7 mana 6/6 with flying. 3 of that has to be a plains. But they have flash, and you can't lose the game. Your opponents cannot win the game. That is correct. You cannot lose. Your opponents cannot win. Bombity bomb bomb bomb. Fuck you. That is what this just read. But seriously, oh man, I can't wait to have some control player drop that on me. And then I'm just out. It's like, fuck. I'm not playing black. I don't have hard removal. So whenever you right at the Dragon Caller. This is a 6 mana red enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 5/5 dragon creature token with flying. I don't see this going off a lot, but it definitely is one of those fun, cheeky things to have around, maybe even build a deck around. It definitely will make its way into some brawl decks that are focused on instants and sorceries, like maybe raw decks and shit like that. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty bomb. Quake Strider Ceratops. This is just a big boy. They're a 12/8 for 6 mana. You really can't argue with those numbers. I don't even think you can complain too much about them not having trample at this point, because we can give them trample easily. So, especially in a limited environment like draft and sealed, this guy, someone plays them, they're probably going to be hard to handle. Koma the World Eater. Now, I cannot help but to notice that when Koma returns to us, this spell cannot be countered. Trample, Ward 4. Oh, they forgot to put haste on it. Whenever a Koma deals combat damage to a player, create 4/3/3 blue serpent creature tokens named Koma's Coil. So it's almost like Tyrannorex. I cannot pronounce it right. Tyrannorex Rex. The 7 mana Phyrexian dinosaur with Toxic 4. I mean, it is almost exactly like Como riffed on that motherfucker. They're like, that is such a sick design. I'm going to take it. But I can't really argue. I love it. I can't wait to make a brawl deck with this. This is the commander. It's going to be crazy. A lot of ramp, a lot of battlefield control, and then just start bashing face. So it is worth bringing up about Niv Mizzet Visionary. Niv Mizzet combos with Niv Mizzet. They even said so in Vegas. It's just kind of funny. Niv Mizzet makes an infinite loop with Niv Mizzet, because this new Niv Mizzet Visionary reads, flying, you have no maximum hand size. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent you control, draw that many cards. And I'm pretty sure the other Niv Mizzet reads, whenever you draw cards, deal that much damage to an opponent or some shit like that. But yeah, so this is definitely gonna be an interesting card to see in Standard. I don't know if it's gonna be used that often. It's definitely gonna be a lot of these bombs I'm showing are just really also just fun brawl commanders in my opinion. I mean, having a commander that gives you no maximum hand size and that lets you draw whenever you burn an opponent can be pretty fun. Next slide. Okay, there we are. Aether Eyes. Yeah, return all attacking creatures to their owner's hand. I'm very excited to see this. I've wanted someone like this for a while, actually. And I play aggro, don't get me wrong. I'm going to bitch when this gets thrown in my face. But at the same time, like, there have been times where I've made a deck and I've wanted to use Aether Eyes, especially for the aggro matches. So I'm really glad to have this card. Omniscience, that is Bombity Bomb Bomb Bomb. I made a post about this not too long ago. We actually have a few viewers who are excited to use this, so that's exciting to hear, no lie. For the humble price of 10 mana, you may cast spells in your hand without paying their mana cost. Now, yes, there will be ways to cheat this out. I can't think of any off the top of my head in standard. But also, it is worth noting that there are a lot of good options, I think, to lower the cost of this spell. So we could start seeing shit like this actually make play in standard, which would be fun. That would be bonkers, but that would be fun. Even if they're just little niche fringe decks, I would like to see it. Time stop. Now this is just about as control as you can get, dude. End the turn at instant speed. Your opponent starts their turn. No, you just end the turn. They can't do anything anymore. For 6 mana, and you know what? I don't think I know a mono blue mage who thinks that's an expensive cost. They probably think that is the best median for both sides. Maybe a few would say, I would like 5. I think you're being greedy if you want that for 5. Rise of the Dark Realms. Now this overpriced bomb for 9 mana. Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. They are yours, Queen Liliana. But yeah, really, this is just kind of fun. Just if someone did this shit to me, I'd probably scream like a little schoolgirl, dude. Like, no way. That's awesome. But yeah, once again, I don't think we're gonna get much play in it though. I do see Golgari Ramp having the plausibility of just getting this motherfucker out, or maybe some weird Grixis deck that's just based around lowering the cost of spells. Never know. I mean, I don't think it's going to make like competitive meta, but it will, once again, this is definitely a fun meme bomb to get off. Hyde Second Right. My man Hyde from That 70s Show. We're not going to talk about the actor and the controversies. We just care about the character Hyde. My man Hyde. If target player has exactly 10 life, this spell deals 10 damage to that player. Beautiful. Just, I mean, never gonna happen. Beautiful. You'll have to make like a little ping deck and pray that they don't have a pain land that's gonna hit them when you fucking get them down to 10 health. Or if they do have those pain lands, you're gonna have to pay attention and think how this works. I definitely don't see this going off, but I'm going to say props to the people who have like one copy of this in their deck just for the chance that they can use it. Props to them. That would be a fun spell. Definitely a fun spell to get killed by. Doubling season is coming back, and it's going to be in standard. That is so fucking exciting. For 5 mana, this enchantment basically means if you would create 1 or more tokens, create twice that many. If you create 1 or more counters, twice that many. I'm really stoked to see this in standard for standard brawl. There's going to be a lot of green decks that are going to get so much juice off of this. It's going to be so crazy. I mean, like, if you're not playing mono green, when you're against a green deck and they start going off, it is an intimidating field presence. Even when you've been using removal all game, or you've got a board wipe in your hand, you're like, oh, this is gnarly, man. And this just makes it even gnarlier. So, yes, every aggro player, every mid-range player is probably stoked to see this in their deck coming back. And Genesis Wave. This is an interesting one in my opinion. I don't know how much splash it's going to make, but reveal the top X cards of your library. Oh, this thing costs X and 3 green, by the way. Reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of permanent cards with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then put all cards revealed this way that weren't all cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield into your graveyard. So once again, this is really going to be awesome for Golgari Ramp. I can actually see them going off. That would be fucking badass. That one, once I think about Golgari Ramp, and yeah, we could see this in standard. I'm excited for that. Genesis Waves decks. Oh, I hope I pronounced this name right. Galta Primal Hunger. Am I supposed to like choke on the H, like GH, like choke on the H, say it from my throat? Galta. If this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the amount of creatures you control. So, that's pretty cool. The problem with this card is always there's board wipes, there's removal. So keeping a high amount of creatures in the field to get them out in play isn't going to be easy. This guy makes an amazing commander, though. I do think they were, maybe I'm wrong, I thought they were standard not too long ago, and they didn't see much play. I did see them occasionally. So I am glad to see them back. If they're still in standard, maybe, I don't think, no, they're not in standard anymore. I'll have to look that up. But I'm excited to see them. That's going to be a fun creature for Green Stompy for sure. Consuming Aberration. Now, I almost didn't put this in bombs, but it's the dream, man. It's the dream of the meme. Like, there's a lot of people who have sworn by this. I remember years ago, so many people excited to see this card whenever it hit. Um, well, I don't think that was the first release. It was in one of the Ravnica sets. But yeah, there are so many people that just love this creature. Basically, their power and toughness is equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyard. In each, right? 1 minute. Yeah, it's equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyards. All cards, any cards. So once again, this is a great commander creature. I can't wait for us to have like 4-player brawl or actual commander on arena. Cards like this will really look a lot better to us arena players. But the cool part is, whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card, then puts those cards into their graveyard. So, it's a nice random mill. They could just top deck a land and you're like, oh, fuck, yeah. But also, they could hit 3 or 4 cards, and you're like, that was a nice hit. Especially aggro decks where we're running less lands. We're going to get milled out quicker. Mid-range decks, control decks, they'll have a lot of lands, but also they've probably been trying to get some of those lands out. So, once again, Consuming Aberration does kind of have value. You can basically read them as, anytime you cast a spell, each opponent mills 2 or 3 cards. Muldrotha, the Gravetide. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. Salty is... Oh, salty people are just probably jumping up and down for this one. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent card of each spell, or cast a permanent spell of each type from your graveyard. Why did I say it like that? Yeah. Okay, so let me redo that one. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each type from your graveyard. So that's just going to be fucking bonkers for these self-mill salty decks. You're going to be able to, whatever you have in your graveyard. You have an enchantment, you have an artifact, you have a planeswalker, you have creatures. Oh, it's going to be crazy. Battles, hopefully those come back soon one day. We'll just have more to choose from. That makes cards like this and cards like Atraxa better when there is like more permanent types you have to choose from. And also, for these salty decks, if you're going for Delirium, that is definitely going to be good. So we got Big Hydra Boy coming. We got Hydra God coming back. They're an avatar, but I call them Hydra God. Progenitus. There we go. I think I got it right that time. Progenitus has protection from everything. If they would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal them and shuffle them into their owner's library instead. So, yeah, this guy... Like, sure, that's not like Recursion, but yeah, this guy's a 10/10 with protection from everything for the humble price of 10 mana. 2 of every color type. So yeah, this guy, I don't know, they've just always been a fun bomb to look at. Great for commander, in my opinion. Not like the most amazing commander, but just to be able to play a creature that has protection from everything. Really, yeah, that's really fun. So, Aggressive Mammoth. They're a 6-mana elephant, 8/8 with trample. Other creatures you control have trample. Now, I like the theme of, like, these creatures that give all our other creatures trample. I think 6 mana is a lot for that effect, but at the same time, we're getting an 8/8 with trample, which is pretty good. Definitely seeing one of these in a draft or a limited environment will end the game right away. These in standard could even be usable. I'm not going to lie. It's a nice little banner effect, and it's a pretty big, hefty creature. The only problem is they don't have any kind of ward, any kind of protection, so they would just get removed right away. So I don't think we'll see a lot of them, but they definitely are a fun bomb that I was kind of excited to see as a Gruul player. I just think they're a great looking creature. Like I said, a lot of these bombs I'm showing, they're not going to be like the game-ending, world-changing standard bombs, but they're fun bombs. This one, on the other hand, Fumigate. Now, I don't know if this is new. I think this is new. 5 mana, destroy all creatures. You gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. If it wasn't for Scamp and Mighty Mouse, Heartfire Hero, this would be the go-to board wipe. And I still see it being like a great board wipe, maybe even sideboarded, just for when you don't play against them. And in fact, for best of three, this may become a good board wipe. Like I know that there's a lot of value in that token, in that little fucking Phyrexian Beast token, a Phyrexian token there is, Beast token. But also, I don't know, being able to gain life for each creature destroyed, that is a real stopgap against aggro decks. And like the only thing holding this back is Scamp and Heartfire Hero. Once they're out, this, and I think Sunfall will be out too, so there won't be a lot of other choices, but this may come up as the go-to board wipe, unless there's another amazing exile one. So, ending the near of our bombs, we have Zetalpa, Primal Dawn, an 8 mana legendary elder dinosaur. Flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, and indestructible. That is peak white mana right there. A 4/8 with flying. So this is basically an 8/8 with flying, vigilance, trample, and indestructible. I can't wait to use this guy as a commander in Brawl just because it's this ungodly basher. I don't know what the strategy is for the deck, but it'll come. I want to make Brawl decks for every commander, no matter how terrible they are. Now, River's Rebuke. Return all non-land permanents target player controls to their owner's hand. A 6 mana sorcery. So they will have time to play these, but more likely than not, this may also cause a lot of people to have to discard cards at the end of their turn after this. And just the fact that you can return every non-land permanent, tokens included. Yeah, that's a great blue spell. Great blue spell in my opinion. Especially if you're going up against Forge decks, they may have a better chance of holding you guys back if you're mono blue. Because once they get that Forge through, what are you going to do about it? Eventually, now you have to become the aggressor. So yeah, this maybe stops you from having to become the aggressor and take your time more, just like mono blue mages like to do. And I hate. Oriella. Okay. Oriella, the war leader. I hope I pronounced her right. Flying, vigilance, haste. Whenever they attack for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control, and after this phase, there is an additional combat phase, which for 6 mana kind of ain't bad on a creature. Like, I don't think she'll see a lot of play in Standard, but that's an amazing fucking commander. I'm liking, we have a lot of cards right now that give us extra combat phases that are available in Standard. That's, that can be pretty cheeky, pretty broken if we combine it with the right creatures and the right cards. We don't have any infinite loops going around, and I don't think we're going to, which is good. But yeah, we could, if someone wanted to make a Mimi deck built around extra combat phases, I think this would mean when Foundations comes out, we have at least 3 cards that give us 4 cards that give us extra combat phases. But one of them is Gruul. Darksteel Colossus. I can't wait to Kona this motherfucker onto the battlefield. I'll tell you what. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Trample. Indestructible. If Darksteel Colossus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal them and shuffle them into their owner's library instead. Notice that theme again? Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of that effect, but also, it kind of helps us with the self-mill, which is cool. And it's almost like they don't want us. It's like they don't want us to fucking pull these guys out of our graveyard. I wonder why. But, an 11/11 with Trample and Indestructible, that is just amazingly sexy. I know anyone using Kona or Ramp is going to want to try to get them in the field, and I really appreciate that. Steel Hellkite. Now, I don't know really if this is going to be a bomb or just something cool. This creature, for 2 mana, you can give this creature 1/0. They're a 6 mana 5/5 of flying, so nothing bad. But for X, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X, whose controller was dealt combat damage by this creature this turn. Activate only once each turn. So it's an interesting mechanic. X can't be 0, and if there was ever an advocate for X needs to be 0, maybe Steel Hellkite cards like this, are the advocates for that. I can't wipe tokens. But, you can you can definitely start putting a hurt on people's field presence with this card. I don't think it's a very niche card, No one's going to build around it. No one's going to really use this guy. Um, Occasionally, you may see one copy, someone running an artifact or a dragon deck. You may see someone use it in their brawl decks, but I just think that last ability right there is kind of threatening. It could it could have some crazy effects. Speaking about crazy effects, we have Rite of Replication. 4 mana is kind of expensive to create a token that's a copy of target creature. Wait a minute, I didn't notice this until now. We can create a token of any creature, so 4 mana is perfect. If it was our own creature, yeah, 3 mana seems better. But for 4 mana, okay, that's a nice cost. But for the humble price of 9 mana, humble, 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 and yes, this time I'm 100%. This is a fucking humble price. This is like Liliana's Army of the Damned kind of humble price. Create a token that's a copy of target token. If this spell was kicked for 5 mana, create 5 of those tokens instead. Bro, what? What? Oh. Oh, that could just be crazy. Imagine just 5 slashers. That's all we need to say, just 5 slashers. I can't wait to see the shenanigans. So now we're moving away from bombs and we are on to just creatures. Cool stuff. Not creatures, I mean just cool stuff. Starting off with some creatures though, I have Arabo, the First Fane. Other cats you control get +1/+1. Whenever this creature or another non-token cat you control enters, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. So, there's a lot of good banner creatures here that give all other creatures of the same type or the same color +1/+1. He is definitely one of the better ones. First of all, they make a creature of the type they buff. Great. And anytime another creature comes in of that type, they make one. Cat Collector, still on the kitty cats. Whenever they enter, make a food token, which isn't that fancy. But whenever you gain life, for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. And, a lot of people gain life when a creature enters play. You play them, they make a token, you just gain 2 life off of 1 card. They're not the best bounce creature, but I'm pretty sure if we bounce them because they move to exile, their trigger resets, and it can happen more than once a turn, essentially. I think. Now we have Celestial Armor. This kind of is bomb worthy, I'm not going to lie. I wanted all my bombs to be expensive. Like, I wanted them to be real nuclear bombs. Celestial Armor is a 3 mana artifact equipment with flash. It costs 4 to equip, but like a lot of these equipments with flash, you can attach it to a creature when it enters play. And this one, the equipped creature gets +2/+0 in flying, and in the turn it enters play, they get indestructible and hexproof. So there's a lot to that. A 3 mana protection spell, that's pretty expensive, but the fact that it's also an equipment that stays around gives us +2/+0 and flying. Yeah. Next, I have Crystal Barricade. This thing is fucking bonkers to look at. It's a 0/4 wall with Defender that costs 2 mana. Anyways, they have Defender. You have Hexproof. For 2 mana, you have Hexproof, which is pretty nice. And then prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control. So that's just dirty. Because you have to take... Crystal Barricade is the one that has to be taken out if you're red or anything else that really targets a player. They're just such a threat for just being there. It's dirty. It's beautiful. Heir Apparent, and this is apparent how this is good. Oh my god, sorry. When this creature enters, create a number of 1/1 white rabbit creature tokens equal to the number of other creatures you control named Heir Apparent, and you can have any number of creatures named Heir Apparent in your deck. So, we can have the Mimi deck with 40 of these motherfuckers in there. Why not 42? The answer to life, universe, and everything. And then the Heir Apparent. I mean, it's not going to go very far, but it'll just be funny. Just keep making all these fucking tokens. Or, if you really wanted to run this guy, like, seriously in standard, there are definitely ways to do it. They would kind of fit well in a rabbit deck. Maybe even just pop 12 of them in a rabbit deck. See what happens. I don't know. Rabbits ain't going anywhere right now. They are getting a lot of support from foundations. Raise the past. Speaking about rabbits, little small aggro decks. Return all creature cards with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, buddy. Like, they've been trying out a lot of things for, like, 2 mana and the 3 mana cost to get multiple creatures that cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So now that they just gave them, this is the anti-board wipe. Like if they drop the 4-mana destroy all creatures board wipe, this is literally the answer to that. And I'm not sure if there have been some answers, like creatures can't be destroyed. Yes, we could do that, but who wants to hold on to fucking 3 mana every turn just because you're afraid of the board wipe? Let's get real. This lets us eat the board wipe and then bounce back the next turn. I love that. Like Boros Weenies is probably coming back. So Sunblessed Healer, they have a kicker. And what else is coming back? Life gain decks are coming back, it seems. Perfect timing. Sunblessed Healer, for 2 mana, we get a 3/1 creature with lifelink. And they have a 2-mana kicker. So if we pay 4 mana, when this creature enters, return target non-land permanent card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay, I thought this was a different card, but still, it does have lifelink. The kicker is pretty cool recursion. For 4 mana, we get 2 creatures on the battlefield. I don't think I complain with that. I complain about that. Whenever here's a fucking this one I really did want to put in bombs, but like I said, I just wanted my bombs to be exorbitantly priced. For 5 mana, this enchantment reads: whenever a non-token, non-angel creature you control dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with a 1/1 counter on it. It has flying, and it's an angel in addition to its other types. I'm sorry, the name is Valkyrie's Call. So that's kind of bonkers in my opinion. It costs 5 mana, so it probably won't see a lot of play. But yeah, it's got a lot going on for it. There are definitely ways to... I think there are ways to unangelify the creature. Flickering them, I think they lose that. So there's definitely a lot of potential for this card. And if anything else, just fucking use Zur. Now you've got a 5/5 with lifelink, flying, and hexproof, right? I mean, seriously though, let's get real. And then when Zur dies, they come back as a fucking angel. I love it. At least Zur decks can use that. High Fae Trickster. Fays are coming back. I love that. We're going to get some crazy fairy decks again. This is a 4-mana creature with flash and flying, and you may cast spells as though they had flash. That's not bad. They're a 4/2, which is, I feel like it should have been the opposite because they're a fairy. But, I guess they want to leave them a little vulnerable. And the 4 attack power means you can be a little more aggressive with them. So that's cool. But yeah, it just gives all your spells flash. That's such a fairy thing to do. Refute, this is an exciting counter spell. It's a 3-mana hard counter, 1 and 2 blue. Counter target spell. Draw a card, then discard a card. I just really think that's cool because, if you're the counter player, you're sitting there with maybe 4 or 5 cards in your hand. They're not all going to be what you want. This just increases your chances of getting what you want. I think the discard a card is a bummer. I really do. But I just feel like it's just adding on a free effect to an already, go-to kind of thing. 3 mana to hard counter. Here's a 5-mana board wipe for funkiest looking 5-mana board wipe I've seen in a while. You may pay so a Blasphemous Edict. It's a 5-mana black spell. You may pay 1 swamp rather than pay this spell's mana cost if there are 13 or more creatures on the battlefield. Oof. We are in shit up river on shit creek with no fucking paddle if that's the situation. And we're having to play this. Each player sacrifices 13 creatures of their choice. Now, sure, a zombie deck could definitely turn that in their favor for shizzle. Definitely a good way for a zombie deck to deal with a high presence of blockers if they have a way to deal damage or gain life off of creatures dying. That's cool. But yeah, each player sacrifices 13 creatures of their choice. That's bonkers. There's not going to be a lot of decks that can survive that board wipe and still have any creatures on the field after turn 5. 9 Lives Familiar. This is a creature a lot of people talked about, and it's like the pseudo-immortal creature. This creature enters with 8 revival counters on them. Whenever they die, return to the battlefield with 1 less revival counter on them. So that's, pretty cool, just go-to sacrifice outlet. I would be excited to see that get used in Standard, just like Revenge of the Rats. Create a 1/1 black tapped 1/1 black rat creature token for every creature card in your graveyard for 4 mana, 2 and 2 black. It has flashback for the exact same cost, which is awesome. So, this is clearly meant for self-mill decks, and they don't want to make it harder on self-mill decks if they get this. In fact, it seems like they want to reward them for drawing the card or milling the card, which I like because sometimes you'll see these cards with like, this has 3 mana flashback and 7 mana hard cast. So you want us to cast this out of our graveyard, or then they'll do the opposite, and it's like, so you don't even want me to cast this twice. But yeah, I just really like the cost. There are definitely going to be some Golgari decks trying to get this off. I wonder if this could be one of those things to help Salty get back into the standard meta as well. It's interesting to see. And if not, I know I'll just build out some fun shenanigans. Tiny Bones Bauble Burglar, a new version of Tiny Bones, and I think they are a little better. Okay, so Tiny Bones is a 1/3 and legendary creature, a skeleton rogue. Their ability reads, whenever a player discards a card, exile it and put a stash counter on it. During your turns, you may play cards with stash counters on them and use mana of any color to do so. And then for 4 mana and tap, each opponent discards a card. Activate only as a sorcery. So, you don't want to have to use them as the discard outlet, but it's nice that you can. This is definitely going to be a fun Brawl Commander. Definitely. But also, it's just going to be something crazy for the discard decks to have advantage of. Both versions of Tiny Bones will really allow looting to get bonkers, in my opinion, if that's someone's style. I hate it, but I also think it's fun. Like, I hate people putting cards out of my deck. At the same time, I think it's funky to see because you see interactions you don't see again. And also, I love stealing cards out of people's deck. IRL, we got to remember to give them back. We've all had that story of being at a Friday Night Magic and the dude walks over, here's your card, man. And then if it's actually like a serious one, like where people are like, it's sanctioned or whatnot, and motherfuckers are trying to get into some stupid qualifier, you got like 5 judges there looking at each other. It's like, dude, there's 20 people in this card store. Why are there 5 judges? When the fuck did this happen? But yeah, back to the cards. Kellen Planar Trailblazer. They're a 1 mana 2/1, so they're a solid creature as is for red. Pay 2 mana, we can transform them into a. We can transform them from a. I'm sorry. So for 2 mana, if Kellen is a scout, it becomes a human fairy detective and gains whenever this creature does combat to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. And then for 3 mana, if they're a detective, they become a 3/2 human fairy rogue and gains double strike. Interesting creature design. So altogether 6 mana to get a 3/2 with double strike that whenever you deal combat damage to a player, you may exile the top card of your library and you may play that card this turn. Interesting card. Great card design. Will not see much play in standard, I guarantee it. If any. It's just too much mana. Now, I am interested to see this guy used as a commander. That could be pretty potent. The problem is there's not going to be a lot of ways to protect your commander. There are a few, but yeah, they will be very vulnerable as you try to invest all those resources into them. Sear Slicer Goblin. And goblins are coming back, and this is a pretty good goblin. For 2 mana, we have a 2/1 goblin. At the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. You're goblins. You're supposed to be attacking. We got a 1/1 in play. Okay, let's attack. That motherfucker dies. I don't care. I just got another 1/1 back just because I attacked. So yeah, that's nice. Alicia who laughs at fate. This is a pretty cool creature back from Kansas to Car. That was like the last block I played when I was playing Real Magic. It was a fun block. I didn't get to see the dragons because I left before that set, but I'm glad. Everybody was very disappointed apparently. But yes, this is a Rakdos legendary creature for 3 mana. They're a human warrior with first strike. Whenever they attack, put a 1/1 counter on them. And then they have raid. At the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, return target creature card from your graveyard to the with mana value less than their attack from the graveyard to the battlefield. That is great, Rakdos Reanimator. Great. And you throw a pump spell on her, on them, it's going to be fucking awesome. It's going to be fucking amazing. Oh, because, You attack with them. Okay, now they're three. Now they're 3/3. Let's throw Monstrous Rage on them. Now they're a 6/4. Okay, let's pull anything out from our graveyard. Well, less than or equal to their attack. Anything out of our graveyard with 6 or less mana. Any creature. Hell yeah. That is Rakdos for the win. And speaking about things that fit guild themes quite well, this is very a Selesnya themed card. Of course, it's got the Theros theme. I do like the picture, but creatures you control get +1/+1 for a 2 mana green and white enchantment. Yeah, that's great. It really is great. Just doesn't discriminate. It's all your creatures. It's a beautiful thing to look at. And honestly, the artwork does look pretty dope. I'm not going to lie. I like the little phalanx soldiers going there. Astrud Animus is a creature I'm personally excited about. I'm going to try John Lizards out. I had fun with Grixis Lizards. I won't be able to copy anyone like with Mockingbird, but, you know, it will still be fun. And maybe even we'll get some cool Gruul combos with this guy. Astrud Animus is a 4 mana Gruul Lizard Dragon. And they have Trample, and they're a 4/4. So that's a solid creature. Nothing amazing, of course. It would be nice if they were a 5/5. But when this creature attacks another target creature you control against Trample and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is this creature's power. So yeah, you know, it's nice to see that. I don't know, it's nice to see that little buff thing come to Lizards. I would be very interested to see other people do Jund Lizards and you know, adding in that Gruul effect in there. See how it goes. I'm pretty excited about that guy. I think they're a powerful creature. I'm not going to lie. I wish they had haste, but there's plenty of ways to give them haste. So I can't wait to see them played. I honestly have more hope for them in Alchemy because there are ways to give creatures in your hand haste pretty easily. And then we can just give that guy haste, drop them. They give another creature +4/+4 and trample. Alchemy has the worst synergies, I swear. Fiendish Panda is a cool looking card. Whenever you gain, they're a 4 mana Orzhov creature. Bear Demon, that is a 3/2. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Common theme for these colors, especially in white. But when this creature dies, return another target non-bear creature card with mana value less than or equal to this creature's power from your graveyard to the battlefield. That is a pretty cool ability, because now we can start building this creature up, getting a basher. People don't want to kill. They feel like, you know, it would be easier to return this guy to your hand, to exile them. So if your only answer is to kill this guy, and I have good cards in my graveyard, you're not going to have fun dealing with Fiendish Panda, bashing at you every turn, getting bigger every turn. Especially if you give them lifelink. Perforating Artist. This is a 3 mana, 3/2 devil creature with Rakdos colors. They have Death Touch, and my favorite part of this creature is their raid, though. At the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, each opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or they discard a card. Yeah, buddy. Just fucking wearing them down. That is just great Rakdos. That is a great Rakdos card. Leyline Axe. So memey. So cool, though. If this is in your hand, if this is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. It is a 4 mana artifact that gives equipped creature +1/+1 and double strike and trample. It costs 3 to equip, though. So fuck yeah, you need to get this thing in your opening hand. I honestly don't think this needed to cost 4 mana. I just feel like they did that for the Leyline theme. Maybe I'm wrong. I think 3 mana would have been just fine, though. But that is an exciting meme card to see, surely. Scrawling Crawler. This Phyrexian artifact creature is a 3 mana 3/2 that has a very Phyrexian effect. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player loses 1 life. This is just going to double down with Sheoldred, with a Razorkin Needlehead, or Razorskin Needlehead? I can't remember. But yeah, with our Needlehead guy. So if you have all of them in play, that's 4 damage every time someone draws a card. I'm seeing group hug decks coming back. And there is a card that makes everyone else draw 7 cards, so group hug will be coming back with Foundations, everyone. And that's exciting. So now we have Authority of the Consuls. It is a 1 mana enchantment. Creatures your opponents control enter tapped. That's right. All of us fucking mono red mages are crying right now. Whenever a creature an opponent controls enters, you gain 1 life. Insult to injury. So uncalled for. But that is a pretty cool card. I think it's an historic. Yeah, I've had this draw to me in historic. It really is a good stopgap. It's not the end all be all. It's just a great stopgap against aggro decks. You can, guys, we can win when they play this. They can play this fine. Slick shots show off Monastery Swift Spear. They don't have haste. They don't seem as useful. It doesn't matter. You can still push through. This is not the end all against aggro. That is for sure. It is scary though, just like having Day of Judgment dropped on your ass. Now, we do have a lot of 4 mana, or it's common for us to see 4 mana destroy all creatures in standard, but I'm glad that they stopped trying to make it like, I don't know. I didn't think 4 mana to destroy all creatures was unfair, and now it's like, let your opponent draw a card, give your opponent a treasure token. If someone controls the most creatures, they make a map token. And I'm literally sitting here. What happened at Day of Judgment? Like, we've got 5 mana, exile all creatures and get a benefit, but 4 mana destroy all creatures was, I don't know. So I'm glad to see Day of Judgment. It is kind of shitty to think about 5 years of Day of Judgment. But really, with the way the meta is going, it is a lot better to exile creatures. So most people won't be using Day of Judgment. Some people do like to have the 4 mana destroy all creatures in their decks, but usually when you look at the deck list, it's like 1 or 2 copies. It's just to help out against that hyper aggro. And I think it's because they don't like things like temporary lockdown that leave them vulnerable to having those creatures come back and play. But yeah, I think it's a solid card. I don't think it's going to remove Sunfall, though. Honestly, I don't think anything's going to dethrone Sunfall. Gata, Font of Hope. Now, she was standard not too long ago. This is a great mana dork for Angel decks. They're a 2 mana creature with Flying and Vigilance. Each other Angel you control enters with a 1/1 counter on it for each other Angel you control. Yeah. And then tap, add 1 plane. Spend this mana only to cast an Angel spell. It's just great mana dork for Angel decks. It's one of those things, you'll fight an Angel deck and they won't seem like they're that scary, and then you face one with her on turn 2 and you realize this is why they're scary. Stroke of Midnight. This is a pretty cool removal spell. It really does, just because of all the versatility it has, it is definitely something people want to pack in their Brawl decks or Commander decks. It's a 3 mana instant, destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a measly 1/1 white human creature token. So yeah, this gets rid of planeswalkers, artifacts, enchantments, emblems, everything. I'm pretty sure emblems, because those are non-land permanents. Imprison in the Moon. I think this is awesome and bonkers and amazing. Anytime we have this target, this is an enchantment for 3 mana. Enchant creature, land, or planeswalker. Blue land hate is so fun sometimes. So Enchanted Permanent is a colorless land with tap, add colorless mana, and loses all other card types and abilities. So that's awesome. If you're blue and you're facing a deck who needs a lot of split lands, and you notice, hey, they've only got 1 land that produces that color, drop this on that motherfucker. Oh my god, you will ruin their day. And that's why, using this in a draft, yeah, this would be great if you notice someone's not getting the mana they need. They're a 3-color deck, they're a 2-color deck, they're leaning very heavily to one side. Let's tip the scales even more in our favor. Zombify. So, yes, now 4 mana revival, I guess, is going to be the meta. I'm kind of glad we're going back to this. I liked waiting until turn 5. Don't get me wrong. I liked having until turn 5 till they pulled a creature out of the graveyard. But yeah, there have been so many good 4 mana pull creatures out of the graveyard cards in the past, and with the way power creep works, like if this was acceptable 10 years ago, why shouldn't it be acceptable now? So win for Reanimator decks, it is, I guess now 4 mana is going to be your guys's, it's going to be the bar that's set. That's good. Elvish Archdruid, there's a lot of typal stuff coming back, and elves are not the exception. This is a great creature, though, because other elves you control get +1/+1. There's a few other elves that do that, of course, but tap, add 1 mana for each elf you control. So this is a great creature for elf decks. Explosive mana ramp. I can't wait to see them used more. Garruk's Uprising. Oh, I literally had to ask Nick. Did Garuk die? No, apparently he's not dead. We just don't use him anymore. So I guess he's just like living the Obi-Wan Kenobi life. Got all traumatized and used up by Liliana. Now he just wants to be single forever. But Garuk's Uprising is a 3 mana enchantment. Whenever this enchantment enters, if you control a creature of power 4 or greater, draw a card. Creatures you control have trample. And then whenever a creature you control of power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. So just draw a card, draw a card, draw a card. It's great for green to have. This has been around. It came back a while ago, I think, as a special guest in some of our packs, but it wasn't standard legal. I don't think it's been standard legal since core sets were a thing. Maybe I'm wrong there. But yeah, I'm happy to see this come back in standard. Gives green decks a little bit of the edge they need, I think. Just like Gnarlid Colony. They're a 2 mana 2/2 bear. I know, I can't believe I threw a bear on this list. But each creature you control, like a basic bitch bear, but it isn't a vanilla bear. Each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on them have trample. That's something that specific wordage, either 1/1 counter or modified creatures, are always something I like to see on a creature, especially when they're cheap. This is just a cheap way to give all our creatures trample, which is going to be great for counter decks. +1/+1 counter decks, not mono blue counter decks. But they have a 3 mana kicker, and if this creature was kicked, it enters with 2/1 counters on it. So a 5 mana 4/4 that gives all your other creatures with counters on them trample is kind of pricey, but it's nice to have. I would like to try to work this guy in some decks, see how they work. I think they would work pretty good if the decks are going to give a bunch of creatures tokens. Just especially like if I have a good field presence and play already, I drop them, all those creatures get trample. And there's not a lot to say here about, yay, we get Lawn of War elves back. We don't get to go there, but we get the elves back. It is a 1 mana creature that simply we tap to add 1 mana to our mana pool, 1 green mana. I haven't seen a 1 mana dork in standard in a while, so I'm very excited about that. Usually they've got limitations and stipulations, which is stupid. But let's get real, dude. That 1 mana dork, they most of the time will not make it to turn 2. They will not. Scavenging News, a 2 mana 2/2. Pay 1 green, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, put a 1/1 counter on this creature and you gain 1 life. I'm glad Scavenging News is coming back into standard. Now we can actually put it to the test. Who is better, Rocket Raccoon or Scavenging News? Swiftblade Vindicator. They are a 2 mana Boros creature, human soldier with double strike, vigilance, and trample. I love cheap creatures with double strike. They're a 1/1. They're going to be easy to get rid of, but this could be a great creature for Boros Auras. It really could, especially if you want to move away from the mice synergies a little bit. This could definitely be your answer to that. And hell, even throw it in there with your mice. This will be pretty powerful. Solemn Simulacrum is a 4 mana creature. Solomon Simulacrum is a 4 mana 2/2 artifact creature. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land card and put that card on the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle. So this is a 4 mana colorless fetch outlet. So that's pretty cool. And I have seen this guy around in the past, and they're always a fun card because just Esper can use them, Jund can use them, Grixis can use them, Temur can use them. Like, you don't need green to pull lands out anymore, and it doesn't have the weird stipulations of like it has to be a gate, has to be a cave. And then when this creature dies, you may draw a card. So that's just great because if you're a control deck, this means this gets you to Sunfall. You have the 4th mana, you're guaranteed the 5th. You are Sunfalling next turn, and you get a draw card. If you don't have the Sunfall, you got 1 extra chance to get that Sunfall against an aggro deck. I think this is a great card for control and mid-range players. Swiftfoot Boots, buddy, they're back. A 2 mana artifact that costs 1 to equip. Equipped creature gets hexproof and haste. As a Brawl player, I cannot be more excited. 5 years of this shit. And oh my god, anyone that thinks Heartfire Hero is bad, wait till someone starts strapping these things on every fucking turn. Death Baron, probably one of the most peak banner creatures around. That's coming with foundations, skeletons, and other zombies you control. Get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. This is a 3 mana 2/2, but still, two creature types get +1/+1 and Death Touch. Oh, that is beautiful. That is probably the best banner in the set. Now we have Charming Prince, like a cool charm creature. So I like how they called him Charming Prince, because he has 3 effects. When this creature enters, choose one. Scry 2, gain 3 life, exile another target creature you own, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So the way they wrote that last line is weird, because it's not just a creature you control, it's a creature you own. So if somebody took your creature, you can exile it and then return it back in the battlefield under your control. Interesting how they thought out those words so well. Because I really expected it at first. I was thinking, did I misread that? And I was like, no, I didn't. Like, it's not target creature you control. So that is pretty cool. And, thinking about this in the limited format for drafted and sealed, there is a blue card that allows you to take control, and some red cards, I think, but there's a blue card that just allows you to permanently take control of a permanent. That's awesome. If you can give this guy Flash, that stops red decks from taking your creature and beating you down with it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like that last ability. But for a 2/2 with 2 mana, none of these abilities seem bad for white. Mentor of the Meek. This guy was beast back in the day. Whenever another creature you control with power 2 or less enters, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. So I know we have a lot of outlets to draw cards without paying the mana, but also this means we can do it as much as we want. And then if we have a token enter for free, we can pay 1 mana and draw a card off that free token. So yeah, Mentor of the Meek is really, really great. I can't wait to see them make their way into mono white tokens. Release the Dogs. 4 mana, create 4 1/1 white dog creature tokens. I just like having 4 mana, create 4 creature tokens. But yeah, it's nice to see that they're dogs. Like we have all these themes around cats and other things, and I don't feel like there was a lot around dogs. So I just think this was funny. And the artwork, if we look at the artwork, that cute little guy right in the middle, oh, totally worth the play. That's all we gotta say. Desecration Demon. Oh, this guy was rough as a kid. They're a 4 mana 6/6 with flying. At the beginning of each combat any opponent may sacrifice a creature of their choice. If a player does, tap this creature and put a 1/1 counter on it. So yeah, if we're playing Dimir or Golgari, we have a way to untap them. But we're black. If you're playing with black, it's going to be harder for them to have the creature to sacrifice to keep this guy locked down. So you've probably just got we probably got the Archdemon Adross without the drawback of him killing us later in the game. I think this guy probably will be good to replace them. Not a lot of people are going to have the creatures to sacrifice willy-nilly, and if they do, probably better for the mono black player. Ball Lightning, I am so excited. Oh man, there's a few other elementals with this theme I would have liked to have seen, but Ball Lightning is definitely great. They're a 3 mana 6/1 with haste and trample. And at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this creature. If this guy makes it to our end step, impressive. But no, just the fact we have 6 mana, 6 damage for 3 mana is great. There are a lot of elementals I love, but Ball Lightning is definitely in the top of the list. Speaking about Bolts, we have Bolt Bend. This is an interesting spell. I really love things with this effect. And also, this spell costs 4 mana though, but it costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. And we can change the target of target spell or ability with a single target. Someone wants to hit our creature with removal? Not today, especially if we've got a big boy on the field. Thayan the Fanebearer. They're a 2 mana legendary human warrior, and they're a 1/3 with Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. I don't know why I thought it was 3 for a sec. But yeah, so basically all your creatures with Death Touch now have effect. That's kind of vulgar. I can't wait to build a deck around that in Brawl. I can't wait to see motherfuckers in Standard throwing out Death Touch decks. And I'm going to I don't know how to handle this off the top of my head. Blocking is definitely not the answer, though. Saruk the Hunt Caller, I'm glad to see. I think this is a reprint. But yeah, at the beginning of your combat on your turn, they're 4 mana 5/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if creatures you control have a total power of 8 or greater, target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. So basically, this guy has haste, and they can keep giving other creatures haste. They already have 5 attack. All you need is 3 more attack on the battlefield outside of him. He has haste, then every other creature you play after that has haste. Great solid creature. And this is an amazing creature. Wildborn Preserver. I believe this is a reprint as well from... I need to check. I was thinking... Maybe I'm wrong. I was thinking Shadowmoor or Lorwyn. Maybe I'm wrong. Either way, they are a 2-mana... And Simic Flash is coming back. I'm not the only person that's seeing that shit. That's going like, we got a lot of good green flash creatures. We got a lot of good blue flash creatures. That shit's hard for people to handle, especially if they like to play with removal or counters. They won't know what to do. Wildborn Preserver, though, is a 2-mana green creature with flash and reach. And whenever another non-human creature you control enters, you may pay X. When you do, put X/1/1 counters on this creature. So, you know, if you're an aggro deck, you're dropping your hand out quick. Now you don't have in hand. You have things to do while you're top decking. But no, it also is a good way to just conserve your hand and get the most power out of the creatures that you can play. I'm excited to see some Flash Simic decks get some good use out of them. And here's another banner creature I'm excited to see is Wiltleaf Liege. I know this guy was from Shadowmoor. Other white creatures you control get +1/+1. Other green creatures you control get +1/+1. If a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to... I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, that's right. If a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this creature, we can just put them on the battlefield. Oh. So, yeah, we're getting more counters for discard decks, which is nice. Which is very nice. Cultivator's Caravan is a 3-mana, basically like a mana rock and vehicle. We can tap it to add 1 mana of any color, and it has Crew 3 to become a 5/5 creature. So that's I love that. That's a pretty exciting mana rock to see. Maze Mind Tome is a pretty cool looking card. It's a 2-mana artifact. We can tap to put a page counter on this and scry 1, or we can pay 2 mana and tap it to put a page counter on this artifact and draw a card. Then, when there are 4 more page counters on this artifact, exile it. If you do, you gain 4 life. So there's a lot of value in there. This kind of goes to the same thing as Carrot Cake, where it doesn't give you the creature token, but it's finding a way to give you card advantage and then a little bit of life gain through this permanent. So I really like that. That's a solid artifact for control and mid-range decks alike. And then we have Sorcerer's Spyglass. Oh man, I hate shit like this. As this artifact enters, look at an opponent's hand, then choose any card name. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Planeswalkers, straight up. That's what we get with that. Planeswalkers, at least in my opinion. But yeah, it does have a lot of use. Gatekeeper of Malkar. This is a hard black creature that costs 2 mana and has a 1 swamp kicker. And when this creature enters, if it was kicked, target player sacrifices a creature of their choice. So, you know, kind of your filler for Liliana, your budget player Liliana effect right here. It has the same thing. On play, they have to sacrifice something. Instead of making them discard a card the next turn or giving them something else to attack, we have either an attacker or a blocker. So, yeah, it's nice. Now, this guy, I'm very excited. So excited. Oh, my God. Gutter Snipe is back. Nick, I hope you are watching. Soak up the trauma. This guy taught me how to play counter spells. I went from playing fucking Burn and Gruul to this guy comes out and, yeah, okay, let's give this shit a try. And then, you know, you can't just play Gutter Snipe and start burning people. They remove Gutter Snipe. So we got to splash in blue. We got to have some protection. We got to have some counters. We got to have some draw speed. Taught me how to play Izzet. But yes, I am very excited to see Gutter Snipe coming back. I'm going to try to get hella use out of this motherfucker, especially with the way Izzet is right now. Oh my God, oh my God, Mockingbird, Silent Hall Creeper, oh my God, it is on! Anyway, sorry to get so excited. This is another exciting card. I just keep, oh my God, I only have 3 cards left, and I keep going to the most exciting ones at the end. What are the last 2? Holy shit. Boros Charm, this is a 2 mana, red and white. And choose one of these awesome 3 abilities. I wish we got all the Ravnica charms back, but we just got Boros, I think. I guess I shouldn't be disappointed, because this is the busted charm. Boros charm deals 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. Or, permanents you control get indestructible until end of turn. Great. Awesome. Or target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Like, this charm is so busted because none of these these are all great 2 mana instant speed abilities. It's like there is no drawback for us having, there's no drawback at all on any of these abilities. 4 damage for 2 mana instant speed to a creature or to a player or planeswalker. Hell yeah. Permanents you control gain indestructible. There's 3 mana options for that. So 2 mana, definitely pay it. And then target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Yeah, 2 mana all day for that. There's so many cards. I mean, anything that costs 1 mana has a catch on it. Oh, yes, another exciting card. Adaptive Automaton. Anyways, a 3 mana 2/2 artifact construct creature. When it enters, choose a creature type. This creature is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Other creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. I mean, this could go with anybody. This really could go for anybody. Oh, and then we're ending on such a cute little soul sister. Okay, Hinterland Sanctifier. Now, the reason, probably a lot of people see this and they just go, it's another soul sister. What the fuck? We have Soul Lord. What the fuck are you talking about, Wes? Not only that, there's so much shit with this effect. This is a rabbit. This is a rabbit soul sister. So rabbits feels like it's in an awkward spot. Because, like, even right now, they're using Sheltered by Ghost to increase their win rate. And that card is great, but it does nothing for rabbits themselves. You give 1 rabbit ward, you get rid of something else, you get lifelink. Okay. I feel like rabbits should be able to do that without Sheltered by Ghost. And maybe if they do need a few more pieces in play, sure. But just having Hinterland Sanctifier, a 1 mana 1/2, whenever another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. No cutoff, they can be tokens. So this is great for rabbits because their explosive field presence, now they get the explosive life gain. That really will help them make a comeback against like a lot of aggro decks like mono red. So that is very exciting shit to see right there in my opinion. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Those were the 84 cards from Foundations that excited me. There were some more exciting cards, but I feel like a lot of those cards were the impressive ones to me. Those are the ones that I'm going to want to go look at a lot more, or that, I will just be saying this is my common go-to when I want a card that does something like this. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, though. Please let us know in the comments below which cards from Foundations have you guys most excited. What kind of crazy combos have you jumping up and down in your seat, like me with Gutter Snipe and Mockingbird? Because it really is an exciting set in my opinion. I know there's mixed opinions all around. I even was a little negative about it at first, but I've come around. I think it's going to be a good set. It's not as vanilla as I thought it would be at first. It's got a lot of variety, and if anything, it's going to be fun just for drafting and limited. That's for sure. So yeah, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and Nick and I will see you around soon.